I have a question about that. I understand is you went to a breast cancer event and they were doing mammograms and you just randomly did a mammogram and found out.
Well, kind of, yeah. I hosted the event for 10 years with Lisa Ashley. We had 4 or 5 people in the beginning, and then by the end there were 40 people with gift bags, Skechers, NFL stuff, loot. So it became kind of big. And that, I always did the bartending. I always made French 75s for everybody. Well, what happened was that year I was like, I don't know if I want to be the bartender. Lisa's like, you're coming. I got you at 8 a.m. mammogram, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll be the bartender. I was setting everything up. It's 8, Four Seasons, Westlake. Okay, I'm going to go to this imaging center. And this is why I love the Four Seasons and I love that area so much, because they found my cancer. They found it. The mammogram lady, as soon as I took off my shirt, she saw, because I didn't have any lumps or anything and I had no pain. But cancer works in different ways. And mine, I found out, was eating my breast from the inside out, so it had pulled my nipple in. And I was like, that's weird. And I brushed everything off. Like, man, I'm getting a mammogram next week. I don't care. As soon as I took my shirt off for the mammogram, she saw it and she knew. And she told the radiologist, she's like, wow, okay, possibly. And they did it. And then I came back up and I didn't know anything. I was making drinks. I get called back down. And I'm like, oh, you could get a callback? Awesome. So I go back down for a callback and they put me in a 4D situation where they're looking at the imaging. And I'm like, and it was very quiet. And I was like, this is not good. So they told me to wait in a room, and I'm sitting in a room by myself, and the phone rings. I'm like, hello, and it's the radiologist, and he said, you need to go tomorrow for a biopsy. And I was like, tomorrow? It's Saturday. He said, I don't care. You're not waiting till next week. And my jaw dropped. And I was like, this is bad. Okay. So I walk back. I'm still kind of like, what's going on? I get back to the make drinks, and my purse is there, and my phone is ringing. And I'm like, oh, my doctor, and it was my actual regular general doctor. And it was Dr. Roythaler, whom I love. And he's in Tarzana. And he said, I go, hello. And he goes, wow, you sound chirpy. I go, yeah, we're having our event. And he goes, oh my gosh, you're staying for the event? And I'm like, I'm the bartender. Like, I was like, what are you talking about? And why are you calling? And he said, well, your attitude is amazing because, they just told me you have cancer. And I go, what? So I heard it from him. And I go, how did they know? I haven't even done a biopsy yet. And he said, quote, they said you have textbook cancer. So on the imaging, you could see nothing on the left side. And it looked like, I saw it. I said to her, my oncologist, my surgical oncologist, show me cancer. Can you see cancer? And she said, yeah. And she showed me it, Jason. And it was the ugliest. It looked like I had 1 million crabs they weren't moving. But she said, this is what's inside you. Pull it. She said, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, if I was your mom, your sister, or your daughter, what would you do? She goes, take them off. I go, take them off. Get rid of them. And I actually, that day, coming home from the mammogram, I called up that Beverly play. It was called, I'll think of it in a second, my mind goes, but I had just brought Deborah Tate there, Sharon Tate's sister, and she had breast cancer. So I came the year before and I called them and they're like, oh, Deb doesn't have an appointment. I'm like, no, it's for me. And they said, okay, come in. And that's how, and I was very aggressive, Jason. And I remember Suzanne Summers, Suzanne used to come on a radio show all the time. So she called in, she's like, listen, women of that age, you're in the age bracket, you're 52, it happens. And you can do this, this, and this, and this. And she went a different route than me. I'm like, oh no, I'm putting the poison in the body. I have 2 kids at home, 9 and 11. I don't have vanity about my hair or my boot. I don't care. I've been there, done that.
But that had to be a defining moment in your life. I mean, how did you, I know your reaction was, let's just fix it. Let's deal with it. Deal with it. But it had to be some some dark days there with that.
I had a couple in the shower, but I don't know. I think, Jason, there was so much going on. They say death and taxes at your door. Yeah. And so I was way more concerned about the other thing. I thought my money guy was taking care of everything. I just was completely, when I heard I had cancer, I forged through. Like Steve Edwards always says, when I see that wall of fire and I'm terrified of it, I'll go right through it. So this, I want it done, gone, because I had other problems, bigger. And that was the one that made me drop to the floor that day that he said, this is where we're at and this is what we owe. And I was like, what? My money manager. So I got my first chemo. People don't realize your hair comes out right away with chemo. The first chemo. So I was bald. I was actually doing the radio show. I didn't miss a day during my chemo or cancer or anything. And let me tell you, it's ugly. Like, you're bald, you have no lashes, you look sick. You look like one of those uranium victims from Russia. Like, it was just like, anyway. Yeah, and you're always cold, and the steroids make you huge. And I remember seeing Dr. Drew turning a corner, and And I remember people were just so stunned. I had a girlfriend over. She opened the door. I opened the door to my house, and she started crying. And I was like, "Why are you crying?" And she's like I looked so green and bald. So it affected everybody else. But me, it's not, I don't know. I just knew I had it. I was like, I got this. Let's be really aggressive. It was the money manager calling me in a week after my first chemo. I'm bald, sits me down. I'm with my friend. I'm like, and he says, well, we do owe the IRS $750,000. Jason, I collapsed. I had my house for almost 23 years, and I knew. I collapsed. I started crying. I'm like, am I going to jail? That was my first question. I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, what happened? Why? Why didn't you tell me at 10,000? Like, I was freaking out, and I just knew that was the big thing to worry about then. And I knew I was going
to. What happened though? How did that happen?
So it's very brutal. I always say to people, like, I know my actor friends and Steve had this, they call them their people, where they do all their finances and stuff. So I paid them $3,500 a month for almost 20 years to put me in this position, basically. They never told me any issues. They said, yeah, no, we don't have anything from the IRS. I went to after all this went down, I went to another tax attorney who is amazing. And he said, call Fred's office and have him forward all of the notices from the IRS. And I said, oh no, Fred said there's none. His assistant came back with a Bible, 2 Bibles full. And I'm like, what the I started shaking with rage, but because I was going through cancer, I just had a lot on my plate. But I'll tell you what, I did what I had to do. Sold the house, moved on, I had the kids full time, and no job.
So wait, so they just ignored the IRS?
I guess, like, he never. Here's what I tell people: if you're the entertainer, right? We go out there, we do our thing, we dance for the people. You expect the people back home to be taking care of things,
right?
But he wasn't. No one was. I had nannies, and my life was just paying bills. And so, but I thought, I sustained enough to be okay. In the very beginning said, you should become an LLC. And I'm like, what is that? They're like, well, you're 34, your career's taking off. I think you need to become an LLC. I didn't even know what it was. So yeah, that. And when you are an LLC, you pay quarterly. Well, all I knew was I was taking care of everyone, right? In the family. And you need to sit down a person like me. And I'm not a type A, I'm a type B. So you sit them down and you say, hey, dummy, okay, here's what's happening. You have 2 shows left, we owe this. You have to do it at like 10 grand. So because I freak out with numbers. 10 grand. But 750 plus, Jason, plus penalties. So it was 1.2.
So what did you do?
Sold everything, gave them the money.
So
and I had a nervous breakdown in there too. So I had to go to a shrink.